Hello friends, my name's Mark. I'm an OET tutor and a journalist from the UK, and I'm also the author of this brand new book, OET Medicine Writing Success, 5 endocrine case studies with model letters and exam tips. In this video, we're going to go through the first of the 5 case studies, which is about a patient with hyperthyroidism, and we're going to write the letter step by step so that you can see how to achieve success in your own OET writing exam. If you'd like to get a copy of this book for your own reference, there's a link in the description of the video where you can download it for free. So let's get into the first of the 5 case studies. So once you've downloaded the book, on page 16, we've got the case study number 1 about a 34-year-old female patient with a suspected case of hyperthyroidism. We're going to be writing a referral letter to an endocrinologist requesting that he give a definitive diagnosis and help with the management of her condition. So what's the first thing we're going to do with our writing task? Well, if we look at page 11 of the same book, there's information here about how to organize our letter. And this is the structure that the OET use in their model letters. First of all, they put the address, then they put the date, then they put Dear, the person to whom we're writing, subject, which is going to be RE, name of the patient, date of birth. And then they begin with the body of the letter, which is the introductory paragraph, which is expanded in a couple of paragraphs, and then it finishes with a polite request paragraph. So let's do the top part of our letter first, and we're going to find all of the information that we need in the case notes. So the address is going to be in the writing task here, Dr. Susan Harris at City Health Centre, 22 Main Street, Central City. So we've got the address, put that here at the top of our letter. What next? We want to put the date. What is the date on which we're writing? It says here, assume that today's date is the 12th of December 2024. So we'll put that information in. Now we want to put Dear, the person to whom we're writing. That would be the endocrinologist, who's called Dr. Susan Harris. Then we want to put in the subject line, which is going to be RE, which means regarding, and then the name of the patient. What is the patient's name? It says that at the top here, Ms. Emily Clark. So we'll put this in. Then date of birth. What is her date of birth? That information is here, the 12th of April, 1990. And just like that, we have the top part of our letter. Next up, we want to write the introductory paragraph. And the OET writing criteria say that we must make the purpose of our letter immediately apparent. How are we going to achieve that? Well, it's all explained here on pages 4, 5, and 6 of the OET Writing Success book, which you can download in the description of this video. But in short, what we're going to do is make sure that our opening paragraph contains the 4 W's, which are who, what do we want from the person to whom we're writing, why do we want it, and then when, which is something which gives us a sense of the time element over which the symptoms have been evolving. So let's copy then this formula and put it into our letter. And this is the way to approach writing your introductory paragraph. You need to lay out these 4 W's and find the answers to each of them. Who, that's going to be, in our case, Ms. Emily Clark. who is how old is she? Let's go back to our case notes. She is a 34-year-old, okay? So we'll insert her age here, a 34-year-old, and then it says insert professional or other detail. And in the case of Emily, it says here that she, in the social history, is a graphic designer. So we'll put that information in there, graphic designer. Next, what do we want? What is our reason for writing this letter? If we go down to the writing task, we're going to find usually the answer to our question there. In this case, we want further investigation, a definitive diagnosis, and management by the endocrinologist. So we'll put that information in here. Why do we want this? Well, it's because, of course, our patient has suspected hyperthyroidism. She presented on the 30th of October with symptoms suggestive of this condition, and on the 12th of December we have these objective measurements which again are suggestive of hyperthyroidism. So what we could write then is suspected hyperthyroidism given that she has experienced persistent symptoms of weight loss despite normal appetite, fatigue, and tremors. Then finally, we want something which indicates the time span over which the patient has been experiencing these symptoms. And in the present case that we're considering, it says that she first presented on the 30th of October and we're writing on the 12th of December. So that would be a 6-week history. Now, all we have to do is take this information, the 4 W's, and turn it into our opening paragraph, which is going to consist of 2 sentences. Here's an example from a model OET letter. It says, "Thank you for seeing Ms. Hall, a 45-year-old secondary school teacher who presented today with a 2-week history of gastroesophageal reflux with possible stricture. I'm referring Ms. Hall to you for further investigation and an endoscopy if required." So we want to write something just like that, which is 2 sentences and which similarly contains the 4 W's, which we've already written above. So let's start writing then. So we're going to start off saying, I am referring Ms. Emily Clark, a 34-year-old graphic designer. So we've done the who. For further investigation, a definitive diagnosis, and management of suspected hyperthyroidism. We've also now achieved the what do we want. What's left to include is the when and a bit more information about the why, or in other words, the symptoms that she's been experiencing which are suggestive of hyperthyroidism. So we can start off with the time element. We put in over the past 6 weeks, she has experienced persistent symptoms of weight loss despite normal appetite, fatigue, and tremors. That then is a perfect opening paragraph because it makes the purpose of our writing immediately apparent by including these 4 W's. So now comes the most challenging part of all, which is to write the body of the letter, the expanding paragraphs. what we're going to want to do is select the content which seems to be the most relevant for the person to whom we're writing, which in this case is an endocrinologist, so that this person can continue the care of our patient. So it's ideal to put the most relevant information higher up and perhaps the less relevant information lower down, and exclude all of the information which is not relevant. And we've only got 180 to 200 words to play with, so we have to be very selective about what we include because we don't have a lot of space. I would argue that the examination findings from our most recent consultation are indispensable and probably the most important thing in this case. So let's write that out first. There's the information. We're going to write it up. We'll say on examination today, her pulse was 110 beats per minute, regular. Blood pressure, slightly elevated at 130 over 80. And her thyroid was diffusely enlarged but non-tender. Fine tremors in both hands were also observed. There, in 2 sentences, we've succinctly summarized the details from the most recent consultation. Next up, something else which jumps out at us from these case notes is that our patient has a family history of hyperthyroidism on the maternal side, right? In both her mother and in her maternal grandmother. So let's include that information. We'll say her family history includes hyperthyroidism in her mother, who was treated with radioactive iodine, and maternal grandmother, who was treated surgically. You might be asking yourself in this moment, when I write my OET letter, should I always include first the observations from the most recent consultation and then the family history? Is that how we must always approach an OET writing task? And the answer is, of course, no, not always. We have to be flexible. We have to be adaptable because every case is different. If, for example, we were writing not to a doctor, not to an endocrinologist, but instead to an occupational therapist, then the information that we would select to include could well be different. For example, we might not want to include all of the names of the drugs that the patient's taking because an occupational therapist isn't involved in managing this part of the patient's care. So really, it is always changing depending on the case, and it's up to you to read it, understand it, contextualize it, and on this basis choose what is the most important information for the recipient of this letter to be able to continue the care of the patient. So let's continue. What else from the case notes jumps out at us as looking very important? Well, we have here the plan, and we've ordered various investigations. We've also put the possibility of ordering a radioactive iodine uptake test, although it says if required, so we're leaving that up to the judgment of the endocrinologist to decide. So let's write up this information into a short paragraph because clearly it's important for the endocrinologist to know about the tests that we've already ordered. So we'll write, I have arranged thyroid function tests, and they'll name them in brackets, we can just copy and paste all this, can't we? Okay. As well as thyroid antibodies and a thyroid ultrasound. So we've got that in. Additional tests include a lipid profile, serum electrolytes, and an ECG. The final part then is a radioactive iodine uptake test, RAIU, may also be required. So we're getting quite close to our word count now. So the body of the letter, we've already got 124 words. So we're going to be thinking now about trying to bring it all to a close. What other information is going to be important to mention? Well, the management that we've already begun of the patient, which we'll put here. So we're going to write, to manage her symptoms, I have prescribed propranolol 40 milligrams twice daily and advised her to avoid stimulants. Your expertise in confirming the diagnosis and recommending further treatment is appreciated. So there we've got the polite request, which we need to always put in at the end, the close. Then to wrap up, we simply write, yours sincerely, general practitioner. Well, if you've made it all the way to the end of the video, I'd like to thank you for your attention and your time. Give the video a like and drop a comment to let us know which country you're from and what medical specialty you work in. Remember, you can download a copy of this book for your own reference for free from the description of this video, and you're going to find lots of great tips for the OET writing task, as well as 4 more case studies that you can practice with, along with the model answers. Subscribe to the channel because in future videos I'm going to be going through these other case studies, and I'm also working on another book about patients with neurological issues this time. So lots of exciting things happening. Also, I am available for one-to-one OET preparation classes. Whether you need help with reading or listening or speaking or writing, I'm here to help you. Or if you just want me to give you a writing task to do and then correct it and give you a grade and detailed feedback without any of the one-to-one video conferencing side of things, you can also get that. And you can contact me on buymeacoffee.com/OET writing. And the link is in the description below. So thanks again for your time and see you next time.